Hello everybody, my name's Dredge, and today I'll be ranking every killer's chase music in Dead by Daylight. Let me know what your picks are in the comments. This was a really fun one to make, and I hope you enjoy it. Just a quick disclaimer, I make no claim of ownership for any of these tracks. They all belong to their respective composers and license holders, which I'll mention throughout the video. Let's get into it. In our number 21 spot, we have the default chase music. This music applies to all these killers. This one is the lowest on the list, not because it's necessarily bad, but it's just very basic and simple, which is, I guess, the point of this chase music. The music belongs to a lot of killers who I think should really have the unique chase music, like Freddy, Bubba, Plague, or even the Pig for that matter. There are a few slight variations of this chase theme, which keeps it from going stale and hearing it on multiple killers, which is a nice feature. In conclusion, I can say this one's solid, it gets the job done, but there are definitely more exciting and better ones on this list. In number 20, we have the Blight. This one I feel just doesn't entirely fit the Blight's whole feel, but I know a lot of people feel differently about it. It isn't bad in any way, and I quite like how the strings are used in this terror radius. The theme almost feels like it could have been used for the Cenobite or some of the other killers. The orchestral section doesn't really get much of a chance to shine anyway, as the Blight usually rushes straight at you with his power, jump-starting his chase music. Overall, it's good, but I do think it could have been different, and fitting the Blight more. In number 19, we have the Doctor. I quite like this one, as I think it pretty well represents the Doctor's whole feel. The only criticism I have with this one is the terror radius. It's very eerie and distressing upon first hearing it, however it does get a bit tiring to listen to after hearing it for an entire game. It is chase music though, so it's not exactly designed to be pleasant to the ear. In conclusion, it's very unique. It really does feel like I'm being chased by an insane doctor trying to electric shock me through the brain. It's very well made, just a little bit repetitive at times. In number 18 we have the Ghostface. His chase music in the game right now is very simple but effective. His terror radius is a highlight with low synths and faint strings as he gets closer. I really like how the sudden drop in music can occur when the Ghostface goes into stealth. It's not exactly an intended feature, but it's very unsettling, knowing the Ghostface is near but you can't tell where he is. It does the job pretty well, and I'm happy Ghosty has his own chase music now. Let's all try and forget his old PTB chase music.
What is that?
In number 17 we have the Dredge. This one is pretty good, although I do feel like they could have done a little more with this theme and been a bit more experimental. I really like the high notes as he gets closer to you. It really fits his theme of being based off the Boogeyman. His chase music is also pretty good. It's nothing crazy, but it gets the job done, and it's a cool theme. It's just a shame that we can't hear the music half the time because of Nightfall and the Dredge's constant traversal between lockers. Overall, very solid though. In number 16 we have the Spirit. I think her music is very fitting for her. It's very cool and eerie to hear. The fast-paced, choppy music whilst hearing the Spirit whispering and yelling is really awesome. The terror radius is also quite fitting, being very ominous and unsettling. Overall pretty good, but I do think there are some even better ones on this list, although this one is really solid. Number 15 is a Hillbilly. I really like how they incorporated a chainsaw-like sound on his terror radius. It's extremely fitting for the Hillbilly and quite distressing to hear. His chase music is very jumpy and fast-paced, again very fitting for the Hillbilly. Hearing his music whilst hearing the Hillbilly yell with his chainsaw really adds to the experience and makes for one of the best original killer chase musics in my opinion. Very solid. At number 14 we have the Clown. This is another very unique chase theme, and the direction the devs were going in with this one is very clear, with its snare drums and circus themed repeats. It's very well constructed. If I was being chased by a psychopathic clown from a circus, this would be the theme. Having this theme compared with the distorted visuals of the clown's bottles makes for a very unsettling experience. Props to the sounders for this one, very solid. In number 13 we have the Oni. This one is very fitting for the Oni. I really like the percussions used both in the terror radius and the chase theme. It goes really well with hearing Oni's footsteps and screams. This chase music is very loading and wakes me up every time I hear it. Overall very well done, very fitting for the Oni. For our number 12 spot we have the Nemesis. This one I think is very faithful to the Resident Evil vibe, with its very orchestral based sound and the dramatic intense chase music. After playing through most of the Resident Evil games, I can say that this definitely does feel like the Nemesis. I do really like this one. My favorite thing about it is when it gets really close and the jabby strings really kick in. Overall, very solid. In number 11 we have the Trickster. His terror radius almost sounds like a faint concert to me, which is really cool. His terror radius gets more distorted and out of key the closer it gets to you, which really fits his psychopathic nature. The music goes really well with his sadistic laughing and occasional voice lines, aka him swearing at you in Korean. A very well made one, and props to the devs for creating something so awesome. For number 10 we have the Death Slinger. This is one of the most unique ones on here. It has a very western feel to it. As the Deathslinger approaches you, you hear the metal clicking sound with instruments buzzing occasionally, which feels like I'm playing Red Dead Redemption. I also like the low dramatic notes when he is less than 8 meters away from you. When I first started playing the game, this was one of the few that actually creeped me out. It's very well laid and extremely solid. For number 9 we have the Twins. This might come as a bit of a surprise to some, but I actually really like this one. I imagine it was difficult for the sound developers to try and create a theme for these two, but they managed to pull it off in a really cool way. It really does sound like something from the Twins' timeline, with a very stumbly percussion-based chase theme accompanied with the ominous background layers as the twins approached closer. Very unique and very solid. In number 8 we have the Onrio. This one I imagine was also quite difficult for the sound devs to pull off, as Sadako isn't your typical slasher villain and the Ringu movies lack any sort of full-on chase music, but they did a really good job with this one in my opinion. It almost sounds like a bunch of flies, which reminds me of the bees from Candyman in a way, and I really like how a terror radius has sudden pauses. I like how alerting the chase music is also, especially since Sadako will sneak up on you and jumpstart the chase music. For number 7 we have The Shape or Michael Myers. The sound devs were challenged for this one as they had big shoes to fill with John Carpenter's signature sound in Halloween, and I think that they did his theme really faithfully and fitting for Michael Myers. I like how the theme has stabby piano notes as well as very jumpy terror radius. I believe this one was inspired by this scene in Halloween. In a number 6 spot we have The Artist. The reason this one is so high up is because it's one of the few that are actually quite unsettling to listen to, even to this day. I like its use of stringed instruments, especially the siren-like sound as we hear it get closer. It really fits as all the stringed instruments crash into the chase theme. It's very unnerving to hear, and I think it generally fits the artist's whole vibe, and it's pretty clear the sort of direction the devs were going in when they wanted with their sound. In number 5 we have the Cenobite or Pinhead. One of my personal favourites. I love how the stringed instruments fade in and out of its terror radius. It really creates a feeling of suspense and unease. His chase music I think is similar to the Onrio, in how Pinhead isn't exactly a full-on slasher villain, but they put him as more of a fast-paced killer in the entity's realm. I do think that his sound design is brilliant and extremely fitting for Pinhead. Very solid job by the sound devs. Our number 5 spot is the brand new killer Albert Weska. This one is probably the most dramatic chase music in our game right now. The terror radius feels like it's straight out of Resident Evil 5, and I love how you instantly know it's Weska from the iconic Resident Evil sounds. His chase music is very intense and sounds like something out of an action movie. You can really tell the sound devs put a lot of effort into this one to try and faithfully capture Albert Weska's theme. For number 3 we have The Legion. This is quite a new one and it's been a big success and feedback from the community since its release. I love how they turned a metal or rock song into a chase theme. It's so fitting for the Legion members and the time they were taken into the realm. I also love how the mixtape add-ons can change the sound of the chase music. It really adds a lot of personality to the Legion members and makes for one of the most unique chase themes on this list. For number 2 we have the Demogorgon. The main highlight of this one is how faithful it is to Carl Dixon and Michael Steen's work on Stranger Things. I love the use of synths on this one. It's very faithful to the Stranger Things sound and it almost feels unknown and otherworldly, which is supposed to be the Demogorgon's vibe. At this point in making the video, the Demogorgon is no longer available for purchase in the store, console and PC, which sucks because it means the chase music is starting to become quite rare to hear. To conclude this one, it's really awesome to listen to, and I hope Behaviour and Netflix come to an agreement for the Stranger Things partnership to get this back. And for our number 1 pick, we have the Executioner aka Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. This may be a surprise to some, but this is my all-time favourite. It was co-composed by Akira Yamaoka, the composer for all of these Silent Hill games. The fact they managed to get Akira to help with Pyramid Head's chase music and lobby theme is awesome to me. I really love the dark tone the music has, with a lot of low piano keys heard in the tail radius. This one perfectly represents the Silent Hill vibe and is the best chase music in Dead by Daylight in my opinion right now. I really recommend checking out this video where they show the process of creating the Silent Hill chapter along with the music composition. It really makes you appreciate all the work that went into this collaboration with Dead by Daylight and Konami. And that is going to do it for this video. Let me know your favourites in the comments. I really appreciate all the feedback and kind words you guys have said in my past few videos. I always look at the comments, so drop one now. They ended up being way bigger than I expected, and I really do appreciate all of you for that. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys.